All right, let's talk about some hidden leaks in your business.
I would say there's quite a number of things that can just fly under the radar.
We definitely want to help you find the best ways to kind of fill in those gaps, fill in those cracks where you don't need to be losing money.
What if I told you that your music school could be losing thousands of dollars every single year and you don't even know where it's going? Hey, I'm Nick, and in today's video, I'm going to reveal the hidden profit leaks that many music school owners overlook, and more importantly, how to stop them before they totally drain your business. Now, these are the kinds of leaks that are costing you money right now, but don't worry, because I've got solutions that are going to help you plug all those holes and boost your profits. And what I've done is I've interviewed some of our top music school coaches from our Build a Music School membership. And these are the top music school owners who have plugged the holes in their music teaching businesses and helped scale to 6- and 7-figure businesses. But make sure to stick around to the very end, because I'm going to share the 4 things that could help take you from losing money or just getting by to having enough profit to live your dream life. And these are the same things that I had to do when I was losing money every single month and ended up breaking through that plateau, and I scaled my school to new heights. And the best part, it's all stuff that you can start doing right now. So you won't want to miss this. Grab your pen, grab your paper, because this video is going to be packed with actionable steps that could change the way you think about growing your school. So let's jump on in.
I would say there's quite a number of things that can just fly under the radar, things that can be costing you money, but you don't sort of think of it at the time. So it's really important to make a note of all of these little points so that you can check in every single month to make sure that this isn't happening. So just off the top of my head, some things could be, students enrolling partway through the month and perhaps having been missed in your billing cycle. So, have they actually been billed for the weeks that they've been taking lessons? Students continuing after they've cancelled but not being billed, or tutors giving extra time but they're not monetizing that time. You could be looking at things like inefficient scheduling. So how many students do you actually have in each of your groups? Are you maximizing the time? If you've got 2 keys groups of the same level with only 2 in one and 3 in the other, can you actually combine them into one group so you're only paying for one lot of tutor billing time? Tutors waiting between lessons with no students, that's paid downtime, making sure that we're actually utilizing the time of the day and monetizing as much as we can. You could also look at things like your trials. You have trials that are coming in, doing their introductory lesson, your admin person spending time with them, giving them a studio tour. They've spoken with the tutor. We've invested a lot of time and energy that we're having to pay the tutors for, but we don't follow up with those students, so they don't convert. Another thing could be, giving lots of scholarships, because we want everybody to learn. We want everybody to have access to music education. But, if we are giving those scholarships out too easily, then again, that's a profit that's not being realized. Admin inefficiencies, like using staff to chase money, for example, when you can automate a lot of your systems. If you don't have clear procedures and policies in place, there's a lot of toing and froing and asking questions, which is wasting, paid time. Another one is, turnover of your staff. So the time that you invest in recruiting, training, obviously the marketing first to find those people. It's really important to improve your tutor onboarding and to make sure that we're offering lots of feedback and opportunity for growth. So those are just some ideas where you might be missing out on profit that's actually sitting right there for the taking.
Hey guys, I would say if you're looking to save some money in your music school, think about where you're hosting your website and the platform that you're using to edit it as well. We use Wix, and Wix is fantastic. It has an inbuilt CRM. We can message customers, we can email them, and it's dead easy just to jump on and make some quick edits. If you've just done a concert, you can shoot your photos up there straight away. You can get your testimonials up, and you're not having to wait around and pay a website developer to get your website up to date with everything that you're doing.
Another thing that you can try as well is, rather than investing in really expensive equipment or piano piano, keyboards, drum kits, whatever it may be, is get onto Facebook Marketplace or maybe eBay and see if you can pick up some stuff secondhand. Quite often it will do exactly the same thing as a brand new stuff would. Equipment is built really well nowadays and will last for years. That's certainly how we started. To be honest, that's what we still continue to do now. It's a lot cheaper than buying brand new. And, you know, Yamaha, Roland, there's loads of reputable makes out there which are built to last. So we would certainly recommend getting stuff secondhand to save a few pennies.
And I would also say think about some digital resources as well. Don't waste thousands of pounds with photocopying and printing everything. Students do really well these days with ebooks. We do 2 ebooks a year, one for the summer, one for Christmas. Each one doesn't cost a lot of money, but it goes across all the hundreds of students that we've got, and they can't lose it as well. It'll work on their iPad and they can use it at home. And then we just have 4 copies, hard copies printed in lesson to help keep the printing costs down.
Finally, another tip for keeping your budget working well for you is to do some low-cost marketing or even free marketing. So rather than spending loads of money on Facebook ads or Google ads, if you've got a little bit of time to spare, get in those Facebook community groups, put in a really compelling post or like a cool picture of something going on at your music school and just share what's happening. People are likely to be intrigued by what's going on, to inquire about lessons naturally just off the back of that, and be quick to respond. That's always key to helping leads to become customers.
All right, let's talk about some hidden leaks in your business, some areas where some money is going out that you don't necessarily want to go out or see going out. So a couple of them come to mind. First one are some really simple, some inexpensive ones, subscriptions. So do you have subscriptions? Apple, iCloud subscriptions, Pandora, Spotify, any of these, Canva, any of these subscriptions, can you look through and see, do I need them? One, they might be like $5 a month. They might be $12 a month, $20 a month. Can you combine some so that you're, get a bundle deal? So just kind of look at all your subscriptions that you're paying. I just printed out actually the other day, my entire bank statement for the last couple of months. And I'm going to go through each line item and see which one is reoccurring. So what subscriptions I have and if I really need that one. So that's the first thing I would do. Really easy to do. And it might save you, again, 10, 20, $30 a month, but that adds up. Next one is for those of you that run group classes. If you have assistants in your group classes, if you get to a point where you're bringing in an assistant because your class is getting big or it's a little difficult for one teacher to handle, just keeping an eye on, an assistant rate should definitely be lower than a lead teacher rate. So you should make sure that you've got that on there. And then if you do add an assistant when a class gets over a certain amount, so let's say you offer dance classes or art classes or music lessons or music classes, and over 8 students, you add an assistant. Great. So you've got that, that's working well. When your enrollment dips maybe down to 7, make sure that assistant isn't just staying in there because everyone's used to it, right? So be efficient how you use your assistants. That would be another one. As far as rates go for your teachers, if you're having your teachers do some admin work for you as well, you should have 2 separate rates for your teachers. You should have a teaching rate. Your teaching rate is whenever they are in front of students. That is how I simply define my teaching rate. If you're teaching a private lesson or a group class and you're in front of students, you get your teaching rate, camps, special events, whatever it is. If you're doing anything else for the studio, you're doing some admin work, you're coming to a meeting, you're coming to a training, you're doing some curriculum writing, whatever it is, that is a separate admin rate that should be closer, at least for us, it's kind of closer to minimum wage, maybe a little bit higher, but nowhere near the teaching rate. So that will save a lot of money if you have teachers doing a lot of extra stuff, having 2 separate rates. Some other things, your front desk, if you have somebody working at the front desk, make sure they're being efficient with their time. Make sure that they are doing, the high level stuff that they can, reaching out to students that maybe have just unenrolled, that they're following up with students that just took trials, anything like that. You don't want your front desk employees just to kind of sit there and wait for people to come to them. You want them to make sure they're being proactive. So you could be kind of leaking some money there by not being as efficient with your front desk staff. And then the last one, which is kind of a big one, which takes a little bit more in depth, is just your ads, your ad spend. So if you're doing Facebook, if you're doing Google, I really encourage you to, jump on a call with Mike to make sure that you're being efficient with your money. It isn't always that if you spend $20 a day and you get X amount of leads, if you spend $40 a day, you're going to get twice as many leads, right? That doesn't always work that way. So just make sure you're tracking all of your ad spend and making sure it's worth it. So that can be done on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. And just to make sure you're not leaking money by spending a ton of money on Facebook and you're just not getting, the return that you can. So those are things that I would check on to make sure that you're being as efficient with your funds as possible.
This may sound really silly, but it's very easy to spend a lot of excess money on office supplies and paper goods if you don't have an organized backstock of all of these items or a system of reordering. Samples of this can include toilet paper or printing paper, ink, hand soap. All of those items can be put on an auto refill through Amazon and not just be thrown or shoved into a cabinet where you don't know where those items exist.
Is your business actually draining money without realizing it? But you've got the best intentions, but you're actually draining money. It's just leaking out. We definitely want to help you find the best ways to kind of fill in those gaps, fill in those cracks where you don't need to be losing money. My name is Ruthie Smith, and I am one of the coaches here at Build a Music School. So here's the deal. I want to help you find those spots. And so the first thing that I want to remind you constantly is that the business decisions you are making should stay about attraction, bringing people in, and retention, keeping them once you've got them. And potentially then you can upsell and have some more, get some more investment from the individual families. So let's talk about one of my favorite topics. It is systems. I love a system that once it's running, it is running for me. And I have talked with so many business owners like yourself who might actually be overdoing it with the systems. I know that will sound strange coming from me if anybody knows me. I love a system, but so many of our business owners are overdoing it. And here's what I mean. I talked with somebody yesterday and they were using one of the systems for the client management systems to make sure that their calendaring of their students was going great, to make sure their auto pay was on, everything was good with there. And that system has a text feature and it has an email feature within it. And then they were also paying a separate system for to keep track of their hot leads. These are fantastic things. And these are two separate systems that I currently have. But here's what happened. They also then were using paying for a completely separate system to do what those two systems already are doing. So they're paying a premium subscription to manually type in the information that was coming from the leads from a system that they're already paying for, that they could just use that system. And then in that same other system, they were then using a different free system, a Google Sheets, actually, in this scenario, where they were trying to decide what tasks to do. Now, the truth is I actually do have three systems. I've got my client management system, my communication strategies system, and then a task management system. But once I discovered that this person was paying premium services on all three for the same task, that's when we got to make a shift. So are you actually needing to use all the different systems that you use? Now, I recently actually went through all of my subscriptions and discovered that some of the sheet music type subscriptions that I was paying for each year, you know what? I could actually just use one. And if the sheet music that I wanted wasn't there at that time, maybe we select a different song, or maybe we actually pay a little bit once instead of the subscription. So let's get those subscriptions under control. And then lastly, are there any physical items that you are overstocking in your studio? That might have to do with curriculum books. That might have to do with a little too much merch that you're just constantly. It's okay to let somebody else, maybe an online system, do your merch sales, and you just kind of keep one in stock, or maybe only order new books when people actually need them. So just be careful of some of those leaks where you just kind of keep paying for the same thing that might be done quicker and easier if you just do it once instead of 3 times. Hope that helps.
Thank you, coaches, for sharing all of that valuable information. Well, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I'm going to share with you the 4 things that I did in our school that really helped me unlock some hidden profit. So the first one I want to share with you is all around inefficient scheduling. And so inefficient scheduling, it can come in a lot of different ways. And so one way that I was doing inefficient scheduling at my school is I was really letting the teachers dictate how long they wanted to stay. So they would say, well, I only want to be here till 6 p.m. or maybe I only want to be here till 6:30, which is great because it's capitalizing on that prime time spot, that sort of 4 to 6 p.m. is when it was at our school. But what we found was that from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m., or maybe it was 6:30 to 8 or 9, we had an empty room. And so no teachers really wanted to come in and teach for 2 hours at the very end of the day in the evening. What we found was what we needed to start doing was going, all right, hey, listen, if you want to teach with us, you need to be here from 3 until 8 p.m. or maybe it's 2 to 8 p.m. or 3 to 9 p.m., whatever it is for you. But what we need is a full day of teaching from you, because it really works best for them and for the business, because the business is able to generate a lot more profit by having a maximized room. And for the teachers, they're also able to generate more income out of that as well. And so you get people who are more bought into what you're doing if they are really committed to a full day with you. The second way that we saw inefficient scheduling at our school was we were paying for gaps in their schedule. So, if you had a gap from 3 until 4 p.m., we were going to pay you for that. And what we found was that our staff was actually booking these massive gaps in the schedule. And so what we ended up doing was we were like, hey, you have to book back to back classes here, unless if there is a break. We are not creating anything more than a 30-minute gap in a schedule, because what we were finding was we were paying for that sort of 3 to 4 p.m. and sure, the teacher was doing stuff, but it was nothing that was generating the sort of revenue when they were teaching with us. So we really tried to hone in and say, hey, listen, no gaps in the schedule. We're going back to back unless if that teacher needs a lunch break, dinner break, whatever it might be. So that's number 1, inefficient scheduling. The second way is underpricing your services. And so what this could look like is a lot of different things where maybe you're underpricing your services because you haven't done enough market research. And so what market research is really looking at the broad spectrum, all of your competitors, all that sort of stuff, and go, how are we compared to our competitors? Are we on track with them? Are we higher? Are we lower? Because what we see so much here at BAM is so many school owners are underpricing their services. You have to remember, you need to charge what you are worth. And so that's the second aspect. Please make sure you are always charging what you are worth, because I know at our school, we charge a lot more than a lot of other schools in our area, but we also give a lot more. And so we can't just do market research and say, well, this person is charging this much, so this is how much we should charge. What we really need to do is do the market research and then compare that to how we see what our worth is, and what we provide compared to the other schools in our area. The third thing that really helped us unlock additional profit was our overhead costs. And so what we were doing is, you sort of get stuck in this cycle of subscription-based services or whatever it might be, and you're never actually sitting down to do an expense audit to go, do I need this thing or do I not need this thing? This alone unlocked thousands of dollars every single month at our school just by looking at it and going, all right, we got to make some cuts to this and to this because we don't need this service anymore. Or maybe we can optimize this service by using this thing over here at a cheaper cost, combining things together. There's so many different ways that you can do it. But we do an expense audit now every 6 months at our school to really just go, hey, what are we missing? Is there other opportunities for us to cut things back and then be able to then increase the profit at our school? And the fourth and final one is not tracking your metrics. I did this for a long time and it caused major problems in our school. And it honestly took us 18 months to dig ourselves out of this because we did not track our metrics. Because you really need to be paying attention on a monthly or sometimes even weekly basis. What is your overall student retention? What's your student count? And what we want is it all in one dashboard where you can then take this information and compare it to, you know, where you're at now versus where you were at in, you know, previous years. Where was I in 2023 compared to today, you know, or where was I in 2024 compared to today? And so when you are able to look at all these numbers, you're able to dial in better and go, where am I winning and where am I falling short? And so what we realized at our school was we had a massive retention problem. And we had this going on for, you know, a year almost before we decided, well, before we really saw it and then corrected it. And so tracking your metrics is the number one way that we were able to then really lift up our school and unleash, you know, a whole new level that we didn't even know was possible at our school. So again, the big four things: inefficient scheduling, underpricing your services, overhead costs, and number four is going to be not tracking your metrics on a consistent basis. All right, that is all I've got for you. But before you go, hey, if you are sitting here going, okay, Nick, this all sounds amazing, but I don't know how to do this and I need some help with this. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to click the link somewhere in this video here and you can get a 7-day trial with BAM. And you can unlock some of these things and you can find, how do I actually create my CEO dashboard? How do I then fix some of my retention issues? All that sort of stuff. So make sure, click the link wherever it is in this video and enjoy your 7-day trial with Build a Music School. And I can't wait to see you in the membership.